Hello and welcome back to Great British Biking Adventures. As you probably already know, we're making our way around the British coast on our motorcycle. We've taken a few weeks off from editing, which has given us the opportunity to reflect on the series. In this episode, we've done a little less history and a bit more on the trip itself. Hopefully you'll get a flavour of what we experienced on the ride. Stick with us to the end and let us know what you think in the comments down below. Also, if you like what we're doing and want to keep up with future videos, please like and subscribe.
So let's just have a quick look at what we've done so far. We've done the Somerset coastline, we've done the North Devon coastline, the Cornish coastline, the South Devon coastline, and then the Dorset coastline and into Hampshire. In that last episode we went to the Isle of Wight and you saw that we came across into Portsmouth and we stayed at a place called Cuckoo Camp near Ford. In this episode we're going to continue along the south coastline, starting off at Littlehampton and Rustington, going on to Worthing and then Brighton, and see how far we get. Hang around to see what happened to us when we got to Brighton. So we've woken up to a very frosty morning. Don't think we've had a frost for all year. And then we go away camping and we get our first frost. Look at this.
Sorry. So that was me getting on the back of the bike. Not the easiest thing in the world. And we're just leaving Cuckoo Camp. There was a big frost this morning. Nice, isn't it? The river's that way, as you can see on the side, and we had a walk down there this morning. So there's quite a few interesting things here. We don't know what this is here, do we? But we thought it was waterworks. Lots of horses there, but that over there looks a bit more, I don't know, not allowed in anyway. Lots of barbed wire fencing and cameras.
Lots of containers.
And containers, yeah. There's yeah. Not quarantine, is it? Or is it quarantine? Okay, just wait a minute. What does that say there? Prison property, no admittance. HM Prison Ford.
It's Ford, yeah.
So are they like single cells or something? Or?
Yeah, they're all cells.
Wow.
Recorded.
Yeah. So we've decided it is, from what the sign says, HM Prison Ford, prison property, no admittance. We think that it's some kind of, well, it is a prison detention centre. Yeah.
Can you remember which way we came?
Left.
I know we've only just got going, but I just had to stop and have a closer look at this Lancia Monte Carlo, or as the Italians would say, Lancia Monte Carlo. As a younger man, this is one of my dream cars. Even back then, the Monte Carlo was a very rare car and an example of great Italian styling. The engine was taken from the Lancia Beta and mounted behind the driver, like most Ferraris and Lamborghinis.
So that's the River Arun to our right that we walked around a bit this morning from our campsite. We're coming down into Littlehampton. So we're just coming down onto the seafront at Littlehampton. The beach lawns.
As you would expect, regions differ to each other, not only geographically, but architecturally, economically and demographically. As we travel, we enjoy contrasting these differences. Normally, neighbouring counties have similarities. The differences between Cornwall and Devon are subtle, as are the differences between Devon and Dorset. As we go further, the changes from earlier in the trip become much more noticeable. We're in West Sussex, having crossed over the boundary from Hampshire in the last episode. If you haven't done so already, you've probably noticed how different this coast is from, say, Cornwall. There's much less agriculture and open spaces. The coastline has gradually become more urban, and at this stage there is very little undeveloped land. Although there is plenty of commercial activity and seaside resorts, a lot of the coast here is purely residential, almost suburban.
We're going along another seafront. We're not sure if it's Worthing or Goring-on-Sea. Nothing's told us where we are. It says Marine Gardens. Lovely seafront houses.
Before the discovery and use of metals, flint, with its natural ability to form sharp edges, was used as tools and weapons. Worthing was Britain's earliest and largest flint mining area. An excavation at Little High Street dates the earliest remains from Worthing town centre to the Bronze Age. There is also an important Bronze Age hill fort on the western fringes of the modern borough at Highdown Hill. During the Iron Age, one of Britain's largest hill forts was built at Sisbury Ring. Several of the borough's roads date from Roman times, and a Roman farmstead once stood in the centre of the town. In the 5th and 6th centuries, the area became part of the Kingdom of Sussex. The place names of the area, including the name Worthing itself, date from this period. Worthing remained an agricultural and fishing hamlet for centuries until the arrival of wealthy visitors in the 1750s. The town expanded and elegant developments such as Park Crescent and Liverpool Terrace were built. The area was a stronghold of smugglers in the 19th century and was the site of rioting by the Skeleton Army in the 1880s. Oscar Wilde holidayed here and in 1894 wrote the importance of being earnest while visiting.
So we're in Worthing. That is Worthing Pavilion Theatre. And it must have been Worthing Pier we've just been looking at. So this is the coast road. We've just come from Worthing. The sea is to our right, and that seems to be some kind of lagoon before it. But through the gaps I can see the beach huts. They must have amusing views.
Shoreham Beach is a shingle spit. You may remember from episode 9 we rode along the shingle bar at Chesil Beach. Both are believed to be formed by the sea moving massive amounts of shingle. The difference between a bar and a spit is a bar joins two or more land masses, while a spit doesn't. We decided to ride to the end of the spit at Shoreham Beach, but, like so much of the coast here, it has been extensively developed for residential use. Before these modern houses, the area was dotted with shacks built from old railway carriages. It seems to have been a middle-class bohemian retreat that later became a significant centre for the early film industry.
Yes, some very interesting beachside houses. We think we're in Shoreham. The beach is the other side of these posh houses. But you get that round here. You just have lots and lots of shingly beach and just houses right there, right on the beachfront, and the coast road is just behind them. Stunning. Some massive houses. Old ones, new ones, look at that. Eco-friendly style ones. Bungalows. It's just all sorts, and there's the beach with a wooden path to it. And then you get eyesores like that. Sorry to be so opinionated, but they could have at least made it a bit more in keeping. But then I suppose that's the charm, everyone's different. New build, by the look of it. Look at that. A lovely pedestrian bridge there. Boatyard on the river. So we're going along Brighton seafront. It looks like Brighton's having its half marathon. We think this is the last of the runners coming in. There's been loads of them. Obviously a very popular marathon to do. So because of the marathon, we're not sure if we can continue our route further along Brighton seafront. We may have to take a little detour inland. So we're weeding our way through Brighton, trying to get back onto the seafront because we couldn't do it because of the marathon. All the roads are closed, another one closed on our right here.
We didn't realise this was the day of the Brighton Half Marathon, and although it was a pleasant surprise, it made a mess of our route plans. At times it was difficult to see why, but the road closures were extensive and the diversions seemed to be needlessly taking us a very long way around and away from the coast. We picked our way through as best as we could. Even on the bike the traffic was a nightmare. Brighton is littered with traffic restrictions monitored by enforcement cameras, and we weren't sure if motorcycles were exempt, as they often are. It meant we didn't get to see much of Brighton's seafront. We did find a great cafe, however, to have breakfast. By chance we came across the Royal Pavilion.
Yeah. Wow, that's Brighton Palace.
This fancy residence was built between 1787 and 1822 by the Prince of Wales, who later became King George IV. The environment was ideal for the prince's decadent lifestyle and his taste for fine cuisine, gambling, theatre and general fast living while avoiding attention and criticism. He first retreated to Brighton in 1786 under a financial cloud and investigation by Parliament for the extravagances incurred by building Carlton House. Remote from the royal court in London, the pavilion was a discreet location for the Prince to enjoy private liaisons with his long-time companion, Maria Fitzherbert. The Prince had wished to marry her and did so in secrecy, as her Roman Catholic religion prohibited his marrying her under the Royal Marriages Act of 1772. When she came to the throne, Queen Victoria expressed her dislike for both Brighton and the pavilion. It was sold to the town and the proceeds used to furnish her favourite residence, Osborne House on the Isle of Wight, that we featured just a few episodes back. I think it's time to move on before we draw any parallels with the soon-to-be coronated king.
Buses only. No. Buses only there. It doesn't. Where are those people over there going? Okay, behind. Okay, behind. Careful. Very close on the left. Brighton seafront, a little bit further along.
We were determined to find a way back to the coast despite the numerous road closures. Eventually we made it, but we were faced with a line of cones. In the absence of a road closed sign and oncoming cars clearly accessing the road, we rode through the cones and were back on track.
Thanks for joining us. Come along next time for the second part of this day and see where we end up.